A reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. And Jesus says to them, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day many of you will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many deeds of power in your name?' And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Go away from me, you evildoers.' And everyone then who hears the words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, the wind blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was its fall." The word of the Lord. This, at first glance, seemingly confusing teaching is right in the midst of Jesus giving lots of helpful advice, lots of helpful teachings to people, warning them not to be hypocrites, to complain about the speck in their neighbor's eye while ignoring the log in their own eye. Do not cast what is holy before dogs. Reminding people, the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who will find it. And beware of false prophets who are wolves in sheep's clothing. And then in the midst of all of these teachings, he tells them, not everyone who says the right thing will get to the kingdom of heaven. Only those who do the will of my Father. And then Jesus points out those people who are seemingly doing the will of his Father, prophesying, casting out demons, doing deeds of power, it might still not be good enough. And Jesus would say to those people who were trying to do what is best, he says, "I do not know you. Get away from me, you evildoers." So which is it? Is it good enough to think the right things and say the right things? Do we have to also then do the right things? But even then, might doing all of the right things still not be enough? Does praying shape believing? Does belief follow action? Do we fake it till we make it? It seems all wrapped up in this confusing idea that Jesus is talking about here. What helps us build a foundation of rock so that when the floods come and the storms come, we're safe, we're secure, we've done what we needed to do? So as I'm balancing out this seeming juxtaposition in my mind of Jesus warning us, don't just say the right thing, make sure you do the right thing. And then also seemingly saying, it's not enough to just do the right thing, you also have to believe inside what is right. It reminds me, building a house, I'll borrow Jesus' metaphor here, when you're building a house and you're putting the foundation together and you're building the building blocks of the foundation, if you've ever been working on building something, you don't just lay a bunch of loose bricks. You need to have that mortar in between the bricks, right? Or if you just had a foundation that's all just a bunch of mortar and there's no bricks in there, that won't work either. You have to have both the solid stones, the solid bricks on the foundation that will give it strength, and you need the mortar that's going to hold it all together. That's how you build a solid foundation of stone that doesn't wash away in the storm. So maybe we do need both. Maybe we do need both right action, and maybe we do need right belief. Maybe it's not good enough to say, Lord, I did all the things you wanted me to do. What do you want? And like some of the Pharisees, sometimes he complains are getting too caught up in the legalistic, doing all of the right things, but not inwardly believing and behaving as you're supposed to. You need that, but you also can't just go around saying, Lord, I believe in all the right things, but then I don't live it. You have to have the beliefs and the deeds, or you have to try. We have to try to devote our lives. We're not always going to get it right. But that's why we have forgiveness. But we do have to try where we can to have both those actions of living out our lives the way we are called to live them out by Jesus. And we have to hold inside the spirit of who we are meant to be, what we're meant to believe and think, and how we're meant to live our lives. Those things together form that solid foundation of the bricks and the mortar. And maybe that's part of what Jesus is trying to get to, or at least how I interpret Jesus getting to here in chapter 7, when he says, it's not enough to just say the right words, but it's also not enough to just do the right things. He's not trying to make it hard for us, but he's trying to help us understand you need to have belief and action in concert with each other to build that good foundation that you'll need when the storms come. Thanks be to God. Amen.